This is lesson 2 in Unit 11, our unit on immigration and the Progressive Era. And in this lesson, we're going to take a look at assimilation of immigrants and discrimination that immigrants faced. Most of the immigrants tended to stay in the cities close to the factory jobs that were available at the time. What you're looking at here is an immigrant community on the Lower East Side of New York City in the late 1800s, and the term ghetto is going to come into use at this time to describe this neighborhood. Most immigrants lived in ethnic neighborhoods made up of the same group of people. So here, most of the people in this particular area of Lower Manhattan at the time were Jewish of Polish and Russian descent. And you can see the neighborhood is extremely crowded. You have pushcart vendors. If this venture was profitable enough, they would eventually graduate to opening up a full-fledged storefront. This situation was repeated throughout the ethnic neighborhoods of Lower Manhattan. Government programs to help those that are less fortunate did not yet exist at this time. So what you had were charitable programs often started by wealthy women or the wives of wealthy husbands. Here in the center of the circle of photos, you have Jane Addams, who started Hull House, which was a settlement house in Chicago. And it was inside facilities like this, which were built in immigrant neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods, that they provided a variety of different services to the people of those neighborhoods. Here we've got babysitting or daycare, if you will, music classes, cooking classes. Of course, English came with all of this. Many of the immigrants coming over at the time from Southern and Eastern Europe did not speak English. So this was a way to learn the language, to learn American customs, and at the same time there was a social component. They would put on plays and the like in facilities like this. Hull House was widely copied and quickly copied, so it spread way beyond Chicago, and there were settlement houses in New York City and many other cities that had large poor and immigrant populations. Unfortunately, as we've seen in other units on immigration earlier in time, some Americans reacted negatively to the arrival of immigrants. Here we have an anti-immigrant political cartoon titled at the bottom, "The Proposed Immigrant Dumping Site." And the ships are flagged European garbage ship, so we're to be given the impression that European garbage, human immigration, is being dumped here into the United States at the base of the Statue of Liberty, which was a beacon of welcome for immigrants coming into New York Harbor, being processed at Ellis Island. This cartoon is a reference to the Emma Lazarus poem, The New Colossus, the top of which you see here. This poem is engraved at the base of the Statue of Liberty, and it's the last part of the poem, starting here, that is the lines that are the most famous. "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door," which was, of course, a beacon of welcome and meant to be a beacon of welcome to immigrants arriving in New York Harbor. Here's another political cartoon, similar idea, anti-immigrant, captioned at the bottom, "What we would like to see," and the man is holding two immigrants, one obviously Asian, the other European, and he is titled at the top of the page, "The WASP." WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and Anglo-Saxon being of English descent. And that was the group that had probably the largest number of people that were against immigration at the time. The Ku Klux Klan had a resurgence in the late 1880s, and at that time its focus was anti-immigrant. So that's what we see happening here. The nativists were a large enough group to have action taken politically in the form of legislation that was passed, and the Chinese were often the target of this legislation. They were actually successful in getting Congress to ban Chinese immigration. Here's another anti-immigrant cartoon hinting at jobs that the Chinese took. One of the jobs was doing laundry. So here, another anti-immigrant cartoon. But the Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882, literally excluding Chinese immigrants from coming into the United States. And take note, this law was not repealed until 1943. So you're looking at a 60-year period in time where the Chinese were denied admittance to the United States. Let's take a quick look at where the immigrants lived in the cities. They lived in apartments known as tenements. These were one or two room apartments, often windowless, very crowded. As you can see by the pictures here. You already saw earlier in the video the outside street scenes. These are the inside and backyard areas, if you will, of those same buildings. So let's sum up then. Most immigrants lived in ethnic neighborhoods, in cramped apartments, tenement apartments. Settlement houses were created to provide assistance to the poor. Remember, Jane Addams started Hull House in Chicago. That was the first one. And nativist reaction to immigrants led Congress to pass the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. I should have also pointed out at the time there was another law that was passed in 1882, the same year, prohibiting anyone that was a criminal, immoral, or a pauper, and a pauper is an extremely poor person. That was meant to try and slow immigration from Europe, because that's largely fit the bill for the immigrants coming in from South. This gives us a little sense of immigrant life here in the country during the late 1880s.